Good evening, everyone. You're welcome to the English class today. And today we'll be discussing a very important topic, though we had discussed it earlier on, but I just want us to have an idea and the application of what the topic is all about. Now, today in our English class, we'll be discussing idioms, and basically, we'll not just be looking at maybe one or two of them. We'll try to look at a handful, and then we'll look at their meaning. And basically, we look at how they are used in sentences, the applicational aspect of the idioms. Now, in the English language, you cannot exhaust all the idioms that we have. As a matter of fact, idioms are like day-to-day conversations, or they are like sentences that are taken to be a normal way to say things, or to start a conversation, or to add beauty to whatever what one is saying or writing as a native speaker of the English language. But as a second learner, a second language learner, pardon me, I want to say that it is imperative for us to know how to use the idioms in our conversations, in our writings. There's an aspect in our forthcoming examination that actually dwells on the use of idioms, use of idiomatic expressions. So if we are able to gather one or two information about them, we may say that we are getting away into the understanding of it. As a matter of fact, it will help us to understand some discussions, some questions, and then to decipher meaning about them. However, there are some idiomatic expressions that they can give you the clue into their meaning easily from the words that are used in the expression. Meanwhile, there are some that the words that are used in the composition of that expression will take you far from the meaning of those expressions. So without further ado, let us hit the race. Now, the first one I want to talk about today is to beat around the bush. To beat around the bush. It means to avoid talking about what's important. Now, let's take, for instance, you find it in one of your questions that Tade loves beating around the bush anytime he's asked about his studies. Now, what they're trying to say there is that Tade will not want to talk about what is important about his studies. So if you see anybody saying that, oh, you love beating around the bush, it means you are someone who is evasive about talking about something that is important or something that is precise. So it's an avenue for you not to just go plain or blunt anytime you're using the English language. This is something that can help you to recoin your conversations, your expressions. It makes them sound formal, native, and in a bit condensed for those that do not understand the English language very well. So if you say beat around the bush, it means to avoid talking about what is important. The second one is get your act together. Now, if you see someone who is not really responsive positively to something, or you see that that person is lagging in doing something, or the person slacks a lot. So if you tell the person, get your act together, it means you are telling the person to get organized and do things effectively. If you see someone that is lazy, that always wants to be idle, and then you request some assignment from that person, and you know that the person is always evasive and would not want to give assignment, instead of telling the person, please do something right about what you are doing and get the thing done, you can just tell the person, can you please get your act together? So it means you are trying to tell the person to get organized and do things effectively. Another one is hit the sack. Well, let me tell you a little story about this. There was a day I was teaching a particular class, and then I was to teach them idiomatic expressions. So in a way to introduce the class, I just told them, can anybody tell me what the idiomatic expression hit the sack means? Or maybe you just guess. I can remember that day vividly. One of them raised a hand, and she was like, it means to keep something in a bag. Maybe somebody that is annoying in the class, you keep the person in the bag, and then you start eating the person with cloves or plank. Everybody in the class laughed, and then they thought they had given me the answer. Yes, when I told them the meaning, they were disappointed because they thought what I was saying was a literal statement. Meanwhile, I was giving them an idiomatic expression. Now, eat the sack does not mean that you pick a sack and you hit it, maybe with your leg or anything. It means to go to sleep. That's what it means. So if you tell someone, immediately I got home from work yesterday, I hit the sack. It means immediately I got home yesterday, I went to sleep. So eat the sack means to what? To go to sleep. Or you tell someone, well, after today's work, I think the best thing I can do for myself once I get home is to hit the sack. So what I try to say is that immediately I get home, the best thing I can do for myself is just to go to sleep. So that is what it means. Remember, I told you that sometimes the words that are used in the idiomatic expression could actually sell out the meaning of the expression. Meanwhile, there are some of them that will make the idiomatic expression condensed and may not sell out the meaning easily. So an example of that is the one I just discussed. Now, another one is your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. Now, if you don't know something, and then somebody is trying to say something, and then the person is like, I'm not sure I know anything about this. Instead of you telling the person, I don't know either, you can say, your guess is as good as mine. It means both parties don't know anything about what is being discussed. So it's a way to make your speeches beautiful. It's a way to make your speeches elated, condensed. It gives this light into your words anytime you use idiomatic expressions. So pay attention to them. I can tell you that in this class, we cannot exhaust everything. But the more you read about them, the more you are able to use them in your conversations. It will help you a great deal. So when you say your guess is as good as mine, it means both of you don't know anything about the topic discussed or what is being said. I get it. So instead of saying, I don't know it, you can say, well, your guess is as good as mine. So that is that. Then another one is good things come to those who wait. Good things come to those who wait. This sounds more like a proverb, but I can tell you that there are some of these African proverbs that they are also idiomatic expressions. So these expressions are there to actually bring in some truth culturally sometimes, and then they bring out some truth socially. So now, good things come to those who wait. Now, the word wait there may mean patience, can have a synonym as patience, and you can see that the meaning means to have patience. So instead of saying that, well, you need to have patience in everything you're doing, you can just tell the person, well, I can tell you categorically that good things come to those who wait. So it means you're telling the person to have patience. So those are ways you can say some minor things or things that are common. You can make them beautify, you can make them sound elated, rather than just coming blunt and bland, as so to say. Now, another one is back against the wall. Back against the wall. Now, it means you're stuck in a difficult situation with no escape. I get it. It's just like saying that you are going towards a dead end. Or let's say you found yourself in a dead end. So it means if you say, well, while I was trying to get out of every of the problem, I realized that my back was against the wall. So it means you get yourself stuck in a situation that you realize that there is no escape. There is no escape about it. So please pay attention. Use this in your conversations. So when you say something back against the wall, it means you're saying that that thing is stuck in a circumstance or situation that is not giving an escape route. So the next one is up in arms. It means being grumpy or angry about something. Being grumpy or angry about something. Well, you could put it this way. You could say, well, talking after the discussion we had, I realized that he was just up in arms. It was just up in arms. So what you're trying to say is that after the discussion, the person got angry about what has been discussed. So you could use that. So instead of saying that, well, this person behaves grumpy or he gets angry about what we just discussed, well, after the discussion I had with him, I realized that he was just up in arms. So it means the person got angry, maybe as a result of what was discussed, or maybe what the person found annoying about what has been discussed. Now, the next one is scrape the barrel. Scrape the barrel means making the most of the worst situation or things become because you can't do anything about it. Making the most of the worst situations or things because you can't do anything about it. Now, this means that you're trying to salvage a situation that is worst. You realize that this situation is there and there is nothing we can do about it. The only thing is just to find a way around it or get something out of it. So if you say, instead of saying that, well, we have to get the most out of this situation because there's nothing we can do about it. So you can just go as simply as saying, well, we have to scrape the barrel. You have to scrape the barrel. So you can put it that way. It gives you, you can see that it's kind of pulling you away from the potency of saying that thing is our situation. So if you use words as that, sometimes it tries to digress away from the impact of the words that you mean or might want to use in that situation. So instead of saying, well, with what we have to make the most out of this situation because it's the worst that we can get and there's nothing we can do about it. So you can just put it simply, well, all we have to do is just to scrape the barrel. So that will put you in a safer situation. Another one is burn your boats or bridges. Burn your boats or bridges. It means doing something that makes it impossible to go back to the original state. Now, if you realize that maybe you have to do something and you say, and you know that going back to the original state or the initial state means that you want to start all over. So you could just say, well, all we have to do is that we have to burn our bridges so that from here we can continue. I say we have to burn our boats so that we can continue. Now, if you look at the choice of words for boats or bridges, now it may mean that maybe you have crossed a particular river and then you left something behind. And you know that for you to go back there, it will waste your time. So if literally you burn your boat, it means you don't want to go back for that thing. You want to continue the journey from where you found yourself. Or you realize that you have gone over something and then going back will actually waste your time. You can actually burn the bridge so that you don't have any reason to go back to where you had started. So those choice of words, we see that in a way, it sells out the meaning a bit. Just as I said at the beginning of the class. So some words that are used in the idiomatic expressions will give you a clue into the meaning of it, while some will not give you clues at all. So burn your boat or bridges means doing something that makes it impossible to go back to the original or initial state. Break fresh or new ground. It means doing something that has never been done before, just like setting a new record. Just like setting a new record of what has not been achieved before. Everybody will remember Toby Amushon that sets the new world record in the women's 100-meter women's hurdles. Now, you could say that Toby Amushon broke fresh in that tournament. Or we could say that she sets new ground in the tournament. So it means she has done something that has never been done before in the history of that competition. In the history of that competition. So use these things. Oh, well, I think what you have done broke fresh. Or you can say you have set a new ground for this competition, or you have set a new ground for this discussion. So it means you have said something or you have done something that has never been done before in that situation of circumstance. So another one is sell like hot cake. Well, this is one of the common parlance in Nigeria and English. Wow, is selling like hot cake. It means it has a quick sellout. There is high demand for it. Almost everybody wants to have a bite in it, or almost everybody wants to have this with them. So pay attention to this and use them. Run around in circles. Run around in circles. It means putting effort in something that is not a worthwhile result. So it means doing something that is not worthwhile over and over again. Getting it? Doing something that you know that will not give you a positive response, or doing something that you know that at the end of the day, the result is just as useless as it may ever sound. I get it. If somebody has done something and then the person is not getting a positive result, and that person does that thing the same way the first person has done it, it's possible that the person will get the same result. So you can say that you all have been running around in circles. It means everybody has been taking that thing and has been doing it the same way, getting the same results. And if the result is not worthwhile, that is where you say, well, we haven't been running in circles, or saying that we have started and we have gotten to where we were initially without getting a result from it. Now, the next one is on cloud nine. On cloud nine means being very happy or being extremely happy. So you can say that, well, after I saw my lost mobile phone, I was on cloud nine. It means I was very happy. Or you say, seeing my old time colleague, I was on cloud nine. It means seeing my old time colleague, I was very happy. To be left in the cold, it means to be ignored. To be left in the cold, it means to be ignored. So if we want to use writings and then you want to talk about ignoring someone or ignoring something, we could just say that, well, in a way to get over the heartbreak, Tade actually left his ex-girlfriend in the cold. So what it means is that for Tade to get over the heartbreak, he ignored the ex-girlfriend. So you could do that. Blow hot and cold. It means alternate inconsistently between mood and actions. This is what we'll call mood swing in Nigeria. Or let me say in the English language, mood swing. So now, it means if you blow hot and cold, it means nobody can actually say what your next action will be or what your next reaction towards something will be. It means you can respond positively to something and then you respond aggressively to something in the next minute. You can switch in minutes, in seconds to different situations. You could see somebody that is yelling at someone and then turns around to another person and the person is cackling like nothing happened. It means the person blows hot and cold at the same time. So inconsistent change between moods and actions. That is what that means. Cut corners, yes, cut corners. This is one that in Nigeria we call shortcuts. Doing something in an easier or least expensive manner. Now, you are trying to use shortcuts to get that thing done. That's what we call it in the Nigerian English. But in the British English, it is called cut corners. So if you are trying to do something, or you are trying to bypass the due process of something, you can say the person cuts corners. So you pay attention to that. Instead of doing something rightly, or instead of getting the actual thing in place, you can say, oh, this person likes to do shortcut things, as we do say in Nigeria. But instead of saying that, you can say, this person loves cutting corners to achieve whatever he wants. So the next one is boil the ocean. Boil the ocean. It means taking up an almost impossible or overly ambitious project. Now, you agree with me that it's impossible for you to boil the ocean, because I don't know how you want to do it. Even if you insert 1 million boiling rings, or you try to use anything, I don't think there's still a capacity to boil the ocean. Well, maybe the words that I employed in this actually selling it out. So we could also say that. So it means taking up an almost impossible or overly ambitious project. It's just like you trying to work on a white elephant project. Something that is not achievable. Something that can be said that it is not in any way achievable. So that is another way to say it. So if you see somebody trying to do something almost impossible, you can say, well, maybe she's trying to boil the ocean. Nobody should blame her. So it means the person is trying to take up an impossible project, and nobody should blame the person. So another one is keep an ear to the ground. Keep an ear to the ground. It means staying informed and updated about everything. Staying informed and updated about everything. Now, in the world today, our parents will believe, or those of us that are still young, our parents will believe that we are very informed about what is going on. So we can say, well, this generation keeps its ear to the ground. That means we are informed about everything. We are updated about everything that is trending. There's virtually almost anything that we don't know that is going on. There's virtually nothing that we say that is going on that we cannot pick a word or two from it. Just this evening, I got to know that Nigeria and about 53 other countries have been put on the red list by the UK, that no social worker or health worker should be given application or given scholarship to come to the UK. I just heard that this evening. So that's an example of staying informed and being updated about something. So giving you this information, somebody could say, well, that man keeps his ear to the ground. So it means you stay informed and updated about everything. Next one is eat like a horse. It means eating too much, like a glutton. So instead of calling someone a glutton and then the person is offended, I get in it. You can just use an idiomatic expression. You know, sometimes one of the other reasons for using the idiomatic expression is that you can use it for an euphemistic expression. You know, euphemisms are all about using trying to say something harsh in a mild way, such that the person you are referring to will not be offended. So instead of saying that the person eats like a glutton, you can say the person eats like a horse. So it means the person eats too excessively. The person eats extremely excessively. So if you are told the person you eat like a glutton, the person may get offended. But you will tell the person, if the person does not understand what you mean, well, you eat like a horse, it means the person may think, well, I don't eat like a horse. The person may take it lightly. Meanwhile, you have actually passed, let me say, a mild abuse on the person. So that is another way to use your idiomatic expression. It can be employed euphemistically. And the last one for today is a snowball effect. The aspect of momentum in every event and how they build upon each other. Now, I don't know if you have seen, if you have ever seen snow before. And if you are very conversant with Frozen, this popular cartoon franchise by Disney, Frozen, you know, there's this snowman. Now, you can see that by sizes, we have crust or crumbles of snow brought together, molded in oval shapes, and then arranged to form the snowman. Now, if you say that something has a snowball effect, it means it builds up gradually. It builds up momentum. Just like how fight starts, or maybe how chaos starts. It starts gradually before it spreads, and then it becomes something so big that cannot be curtailed or till it gets out of hand. So if you're talking, instead of saying that, well, what happened actually started building momentarily, or it builds with momentum, you could say that what happened had a snowball effect. Or you could notice a snowball effect in the story. So it means the story builds up gradually. The plot of the story builds up gradually. So that is where we'll end the class for today. But before we go, I would like us to take a review of what we have been saying since morning. We're discussing about idioms and their meaning, and then we have talked about beating around the bush, which means to avoid talking about what is important. Getting one's act together, it means to get organized and do things effectively. Hit the sack means to go to sleep. Saying your guess is as good as mine, it means both parties don't know what is being discussed or what is being said. Saying good things come to those who wait, it means you're trying to tell someone to have patience. Say something back against the wall, it means the thing is stuck, the difficult circumstance with no escape. Say somebody is up in arms, it means the person is grumpy or angry about something. If you say scrape the barrel, it means you are trying to make the most of a worse situation because there is nothing you can do about it. Burning boats or bridges, it means doing something that makes it impossible to go back to the initial or original state. Break fresh or new ground means setting new records or doing something that has never been done before. Selling like hot cake, it means there's a quick sellout. Almost everybody is rushing. There's a rush on that thing. There's a high demand on the thing. Run around in circles, it means putting effort into something that will not give a worthwhile result. On cloud nine means to be very happy. Left out in the cold means to be ignored. Blow out and code, it means to alternate inconsistently between moods and actions. Switching from hot to cold, switching from cold to hot at the same time. So cut corners, doing something in an easier way. It means to do something easier or trying to use shortcuts in the Nigerian, as we'll say in the Nigerian palace. Boil the ocean, it means taking up an impossible or overly ambitious project. Keep an ear to the ground, it means staying informed and updated about everything. Eating like a horse, it means eating like a glutton or eating too excessively. Having a snowball effect, it means an aspect of momentum in every event and how they build upon each other. So it builds on and on like that. So this is where we'll end the class for today. So before I go, is there anyone with any questions so that we can discuss it before we finally put an end to the class? I'm waiting for a question. Any question from anybody? Well, if there is no question, just I will always say in our classes, please, what we have learned today, let us try to inculcate them in our discussions and writing. The more we use them, the more we get better at them. Do not joke with them. There are ways you can get better, and that is by trying and making sure you try always. So thank you for your time today. Have a wonderful day to yourself.